Gandhi coming back? No. Is Nelson Mandela coming back to prick our hearts and our consciousness? No, they are not coming back unless they are you. Did you know that people's liberation is hiding behind our embarrassment? You see, in Minnesota, we have this thing called Minnesota Nights. I don't know if you know anything about that, right? Seattle has the same thing? Okay. So one of the things that's very interesting with Minnesota Nights is that so here's a situation that I'll present to you. So I'm at the dollar store, and I like the dollar store because everything is $1, right? But you get tricked because you say, you know what, it's only $1, so I can get 50 of them. Right? And so I end up spending way more money than I anticipate. But I'm in the dollar store one day, and I'm standing in line, and there's a couple in front of me. Now, their race has nothing to do with the story, but it is colorful when I add it into the story. So they were African American couple under 20, and they had a small baby. Not sure if they're married or not married. Doesn't really matter. But they're standing there, and so the store is full of people. And so the young lady takes out of her cart an apple juice and sets it on the counter. And something distracts the young man, and so he's looking at a shiny object. And so she takes out her EBT card, her electronic food stamp card or SNAP card, or I'm not sure. It's still EBT, right? Okay. So her EBT card, and she's in mid-swipe, and the guy turns around, and he looks at her, and he says, "You stupid!" And he starts cussing her out. He puffs up big, and he's pointing her finger at her. He was like, "I got money. Why are you using that EBT card? Don't you know we could be blah, 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 blah." So he's doing all of this stuff. And so everybody in the store hears this thing going on. And what do we say all together in our heads? What do we say about our interaction with this thing that's happening? We say, none of my business. This is none of my business, that I can't get it, I can't step into that, right? But I'm a little different. I have this voice that oftentimes talks to me and tells me to do stuff that I really don't want to do, but won't leave me alone until I do it. And so the voice says, say something. And I'm like, are you crazy? I don't know these people. This man is going off on this lady. Now, the thing that really hurt my heart was as he's pointing her finger and he's cussing her out and telling her how small, how bad she is. Guess how she responds to that? She doesn't. Which indicates to me, what about their relationship? Is this abnormal? No, this is something that happens on a regular basis to the point that she doesn't even respond to it. And so one of the things that I don't know about you, but I don't do I don't interact in those kinds of situations on a regular basis. So I don't know what to say. But this voice is telling me to say something. So I start making deals with the voice. I say, okay, voice, if you want me to do this, then, here are the stipulations. So if they're still outside by the time I'm done with my purchase, then I'll say something. Right? And now I'm going really slow swiping my card. The lady's like, will you just swipe the card? I'm like, hold on. So I'm swiping the card really slow. Finally, I swipe it, and I go out the store, and they're still in the parking lot. But he just takes a phone call. And I'm like, voice, I can't interrupt him while he's taking a phone call. But if he gets off the phone before I get to my car, I'll say something. Right? And so, I'm trying to walk a little fast, use my peripheral vision, and he gets off the phone. So now I'm like, By this time, they're walking into a grocery store. And so what I do know, if you want to talk to somebody, you don't walk behind them and tap them on the shoulder and say, I want to talk to you. Right? So I walk around an aisle. I meet them face to face. And I say to the young man, now mind you, the voice was giving me all this encouragement, but now the voice is silent. So I'm standing in front of this guy, and I'm like, sir, can I just talk to you for a second? And he puffs up even bigger. What? And I'm like, it's all good, sir. I'm slumping my shoulders. I'm trying to, make sure my ears are down, right? So, I say, sir, I just want to talk to you just for a second. Can we step over here? Now, again, the voice hasn't said anything to this point. So I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't do this on a regular basis. It's not a practice that I keep. And so, what I also know is if I say the wrong thing to this dude, this lady is going to catch hell later. Right? So I'm thinking all this stuff, and I'm like, voice, what am I doing here? So I'm standing here, and I say, can we take a step over here? So we take 2 steps to the left, which is the social cue for the lady and the baby to give us some space. So we've created this private space in this public space, and so so the voice says, open your mouth. Now, again, I don't do this on a regular basis. I don't know what the voice is going to have me say, but I open my mouth. And I said, sir, can I share something about women? If you want her to grow, you have to water her and give her sunshine. I'm like, so as it's coming out of my mouth, I'm like, what am I talking about? What is this? So I repeat it, not for him, but for me. So I repeated just like the voice told me. And I said, do you understand, sir? And he looks at me and he says, yeah, I do. And he deflates. And all those scales fall off of him. And so I say, have a good day, sir. I'm at enjoy your life. I delivered my message, so it was time for me to go. I wasn't trying to give him my business card. I wasn't trying to sell him any Amway. I didn't want any networking connections, but I did my job. And it took me a long time to figure out why I did that, why I was compelled, why the voice said that you have to be the one to say something. And I wonder if it's apparent to you, as it later became apparent to me. Why was I compelled to say something or to do something? What do you think?
Your approval by being quiet.
So my silence was giving him approval.
Possibly break a pattern?
To definitely break a pattern.
She's going to catch hell if you don't say something.
She's going to catch hell if I don't say something. So if I do say something or I don't say something, she's still going to catch it, right? Yes.
If you consider yourself an advocate of change and you don't do anything when the situation presents itself, then you're kind of a... Thank you.
All right. So if I don't do something in the face of change and I call myself an advocate, then at least I am a hypocrite. Right?
It depends, though.
Yes.
Because you have to be careful. It's your safety. It's a safety issue, so I don't believe that you would necessarily be a hypocrite.
Okay. So it's a safety issue. You may or may not be a hypocrite. Yes, ma'am. And then I'll take the 2 hands in the back.
Sometimes I've been in that situation and I don't know why I do it. It just is compelling me to step up and do something because everybody else is standing around allowing it to happen.
Okay, so there's you're compelled to say something.
Right.
All right, I'll take these 2 hands, and then you will be the last 2, and then we'll move on. Yes.
The idea, I understand the concern around safety, but I think safety, if you're observing that, is not supporting your role as an advocate. You're not an advocate only if you're only safe. The civil rights movement didn't happen only if it were safe. So I think safety is our worst enemy. Although I understand where the concern is coming from.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes.
You saw the need for change, and you didn't want that behavior to continue. And the only way to bring about change is to address it in some manner and to listen to the voices that are your people.
All right. So to address that change, yes. And then there was one last hand. Yes.
I think it's as simple as I would want someone to say something if it were me.
She said it's as simple as wanting someone to say something if it were me. All right. Yes.
What I heard was you recognize your humanity. Actually, you recognized his humanity, that he was a human. That you responded to human way to another human being. You didn't judge him, you just gave him an opportunity to be his best self.
That I gave him an opportunity to be his best self. I didn't blame him, I didn't fault him, blah, blah, blah. And you guys are way more sophisticated in your thinking than I am. It occurred to me that it was important to not only break that cycle, but that there was a baby involved. And all too often, particularly as helpers, as people who are trying to engage people, we spend a lot of time thinking about this generation. Give a man a fish, teach a man a fish. But now, as I get older, I am in the business of helping people manage lakes and streams. Changing generations of individuals. Understanding that every impact that I make on someone not only impacts them, but I could be breaking chains of, in my background, we say generational curses. We could be breaking off of people by our interactions. And so we all come out of these contexts, and some of them have some legacies that we're still trying to overcome. And so if we don't start speaking up, then some of that change, my wife and I are staying in a hotel, and I just wonder, if we got in an elevator and we waited for somebody else to push the floor for our button, the button for our floor, how long it would take for us to get there. And so, unfortunately, I can't wait for somebody else to push my button, particularly when I'm adequate and I have the skills enough to be able to push it myself. And so, as we look at our humanity and grow, we can start recognizing some of the things that Reverend Dr. King was trying to teach us. So, thank you so much for working with me on that. And so what's important is that we understand that we have a body and a spirit, which those two things help us to understand our human soul. And I use a real simple metaphor for that. My grandmother passed not long ago, and we have this custom in our family that we have an open casket funeral. So we decorate this really great box. It was pearl inlaid with gold knobs and handles and wings and all sorts of stuff. I'm not exactly sure what she's going to do with that in the ground, but it was very pretty. Right? And so people went up to pay their last respects. They went to say goodbye to my grandmother. But I found it ironic that they did that because her body was there, but nobody was home. So her body was there, but nobody was home. And then afterwards, we have this dinner. And this particular time, everybody brought spaghetti. So it was all sorts of different kinds of spaghettis. It was crazy. Somebody could at least bought some chips, but everybody brought spaghetti. And so we started sharing pictures of my grandmother, talking about my grandmother. And it was if I could feel her spirit there, but she wasn't there. Because her spirit was powerless without her body. Right? And so when we have the body and the spirit, we have the human soul. Oh, wrong side. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the context and the cultural competence that it takes to help people move through conflict, and why race and historical trauma are important to talk about, particularly when we're trying to be culturally competent. So in 1863, what happened? January 1st, 1863? The Emancipation Proclamation that did what for whom?